on Television 23, where news comes first. This is Action News.
Good evening. The Rockford Board of Education today approved a new pay plan for clerical employees and at the same time closed the door to union negotiations.
The school board unanimously approved the new pay plan for clerical employees, increasing the district's already deficit budget by $106,000. The plan results from a study conducted by an independent consulting firm to rid the district of inequities in the promotion and pay scale system of its 226 clerical workers. Before the vote was even taken, AFSCME Representative Jay Ferraro asked the board once again to consider recognizing the union. He said the new pay plan is still not a contract. Board member Colleen Holmbeck initiated the motion for the board to vote to allow the employees to decide if they want union representation. But her motion was defeated by a 4-2 vote.
I wasn't surprised at all. I think that they could have taken a vote 7 months ago and it would have been primarily the same vote. I think that Mrs. Holmbeck and Mr. Goldman at least gave the decency to have the people vote. They know that people have rights, and I think probably one of our biggest strategies is to take this message back to the people and work on the polls.
AFSCME officials say the school board wouldn't have even gone this far if the union hadn't applied pressure. But short of changing the state collective bargaining law, there is no recourse left to the union now. Officials, however, do point out that school board members are coming up for re-election next April. Snow Savage, 23 Action News.
Teachers in the new Trier School District north of Chicago were back in school today. They ended a 9-day-old strike this morning after a 23-hour negotiating session with the school board. About 350 teachers returned for a workshop this morning, but classes weren't scheduled until tomorrow. Teachers are supposed to vote on that contract next week. Is Rockford Mayor Robert McGaugh going to run for re-election? The mayor is still apparently trying to find an answer to that question. He has a meeting set for Saturday when he reportedly will try and convince this man to run for the Democratic nomination. The only problem is Frank St. Angel says he doesn't want to run.
No, I would not. I've explained to Mayor McGaugh, and I appreciate his confidence, and to others that the press of my personal and my business obligations do not allow me to consider the office of mayor or any other office at this time.
Are you going to show up at the mayor's attempted draft St. Angel movement on Saturday night?
Well, I understand that was by invitation only. At this point, I haven't received an invitation, but I hope that if I do get one, I'll be there.
What about support for John McNamara? Do you see yourself being able to support that man, that candidate?
Yes, I see myself being able to support John. I think he has many qualifications, and he has the initiative, he has the vigor and the knowledge of city government to do an effective job.
The only announced candidate is Democrat John McNamara, a former city alderman. General Motors is recalling more than 62,000 cars to check and correct problems that could cause fire or brake failure. Cars being recalled are some 1980 Chevrolet Impala and Caprice models, some 1981 cars in the X-Body series that includes Chevrolet Citation, Pontiac Phoenix, Oldsmobile Omega, and Buick Skylark. Also, thousands of 1980 diesel-equipped Oldsmobile Toronado models are also being recalled. General Motors says the company knows of no accidents or injuries from these problems and says all repairs will be free of charge. Governor Thompson says Illinois is seeing less of Big Jim, but he doesn't mean he's not around as much. The governor has dropped 20 pounds and says that he has 16 left to go. It's all part of the governor's concern with health issues. Obesity is one of those issues. Others are smoking, alcohol, and drug abuse. Winnebago County has a new sheriff. Former Sheriff Paul Bankston was forced to resign yesterday because of poor health.
Today, Bankston's number 2 man took his place. Don Gasparini was sworn in Judge Paul Gill's chambers at 10:30 this morning. Gasparini had filled in for Bankston regularly when he was gone. Judge Gill's sorry to see Bankston go, but claims at the same time he's looking forward to working with Gasparini. The new sheriff is also looking forward to the job.
I'm very excited. I appreciate the support from everybody that was here this morning, and especially Judge Gill. It's just too bad under the circumstances that I received the position due to the health of our Sheriff Paul Bankston. And what I hope to continue in the next 2 years is to keep the integrity and honesty and professionalism that Sheriff Bankston has kept for the past 6 years.
Also, Gasparini says he hopes to run for re-election in 2 years. Friends and family turned out for the ceremony, and one of those was Paul Bankston.
Well, there's a certain amount of feeling, you know, that you leave a job after 32 years of it, you know, and there's a certain amount of feeling. And I met some wonderful people, and it's a strange thing to say for a sheriff, probably, but I did. I'd say 99% of the people I met are pretty doggone nice people.
Bankston had been with the Winnebago County Sheriff's Police for 32 years. Jill LeCanto, 23 Action News.
Stevenson County Coroner Richard Kramer today ruled that last week's shooting of a Freeport man by police was justifiable homicide. The man, Clarence Chapman, had reportedly pointed a shotgun at a Freeport officer in a confrontation on Galena Street. A potential prosecution witness in the Pontiac murder trial has been shot in the chest. Police say the 23-year-old Benny Robinson heard a knock on his door at about 12:30 in the morning and opened it to a volley of 5 shots. Robinson was treated and later released from Mount Sinai Hospital in Chicago. Police aren't sure if the incident is related to the trial. An early morning fire in downtown Freeport looks like arson. Freeport police discovered the fire at the Freeport Material Supply Store at about 2 o'clock this morning, and upon arriving at the scene at 224 West Main Street, fire officials found the rear door of the building open. State arson investigators say they are relatively certain an accelerator was used to kindle the blaze. Damages are estimated at $25,000. Fire officials have not yet concluded their investigation. Well, if you haven't paid your first half taxes in Stevenson County yet, you're almost out of time. The Stevenson County Treasurer's Office was busy today as taxpayers lined up to shell out their allotments for the first half of the year. Treasurer Ardis McAdams says that her office has already been able to distribute about $5.5 million to area taxing districts. If you missed the 4:30 deadline, the banks in Stevenson County will be open this evening for stragglers, and a reminder that second half taxes must be paid by the 10th of November. Nearly 100 members of a group opposed to Commonwealth Edison's proposed rate hike stormed into Governor Thompson's Chicago office today. The group wants to stop a 20% rate increase. The director of the governor's office of interagency cooperation spoke to the group, and a brief scuffle broke out when he tried to leave the room. 23 targets the war between Iran and Iraq. That's next on Action News. This weekend, Target 23 brings 3 people together on the latest war in the Mideast between Iraq and Iran. One of the guests, Rock Valley professor Norm Carney, says it was a case of Iraq waiting until the time was right.
I think you're looking at a typical example of an Iraqi government who looked upon a very rapidly destabilizing Iranian government and figured this was the best time in the world to take back that which is rightfully ours, and this is exactly what they attempted to do. Now, whether they are successful at it, that is not the point. The point is, I don't see the hand of the United States behind Mr. Hussein's government in Baghdad launching an attack against the Iranians.
In fact, Norm, the Shah al-Arab waterway was more or less politically muscled away from Iraq by the late Shah.
It was muscled away by the Shah in exchange for him agreeing not to supply the Kurdish rebels in the northeastern part of Iraq. That was the swap that was made. I will not do this, as he said, but then I expect that we will divide the Shah al-Arab so that we will have equal access to the sea. And this was agreed to at the time. Now Baghdad decides they do not wish to keep that part of the agreement, and so they launched a war.
There are other sides to the issue, and you can see the entire program tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock. Independent presidential candidate John Anderson's wife blasted the moral majority today. Kiki Anderson told a WBBM-TV reporter the religious political group is a divisive, destructive force in the country. President Carter is scheduled to tour the Old Bend mine in southern Illinois on Monday. He will be joined by United Mine Workers President Sam Church. Old Bend is near West Frankfort, and this will be Carter's first southern Illinois visit in 4 years. The search for a new energy source always often leads to new conflicts, and the growing popularity of coal has produced a conflict between the coal industry and the agricultural business.
Under the same land that produces half the nation's corn and soybeans lie 110 billion tons of recoverable coal. About 1/5 of those coal reserves are in Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, and Ohio, and it can be surface mined.
You're gambling with the future. I mean, I don't think we today have a right to destroy this land that probably is the best land in the world. I don't care if someone says he owns the land or what. We're custodians of this land for a lifetime.
The coal industry says it can restore the land, that we can have both corn and coal from the same land.
We have to preserve the ground for tomorrow, for the next generation. We have to be able to assure society that we can, our society, that we can produce the food to feed our people. However, the problem we have immediately facing us is energy.
By the year 2000, another 500,000 acres in the Corn Belt states may be surface mined, giving us coal to help satisfy the country's hunger for electrical energy while still saving the land for future farm use. Kelly Daly, 23 Action News.
The Federal Environmental Protection Agency has okayed a plan allowing a state power plant to use state coal. That plan calls for Commonwealth Edison to burn Illinois coal at its Kincaid plant. A spokesman for the company says that he's been working on the plan for 18 months. The good old days were never quite like they were in Durand today. As part of the Future Farmers Good Old Days celebration, the 6th graders sent out to chase these pigs for a prize. And here's how it went. This looked like a lot of fun for a bunch of kids, and when you think about it, it wasn't bad for the hogs either today. It sure beats being a pork chop.
After a gorgeous week that would tempt just about everybody to play hooky from school or work, wouldn't you know it, the weekend rolls around and the clouds will be rolling into the Rockford area. Hopefully we'll hold the rain off a little bit. Currently outside today, we have a beautiful shot for you. Martin Park, the ducks are enjoying the day even though it's a bit cool. We're at 68 degrees, 20 Celsius. Freeport's at 65, 18 Celsius. The barometer 29.79 inches, and it is holding steady now. Our humidity, very low, 26%. The front has moved through, and the winds are now from the west-northwest at 21 miles per hour. And it's quite pleasant out, but a bit on the breezy side. Our high today, only 69 at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Our low was 43 at 1 o'clock this morning. Normally, we're at a high of 67 and a low of 43. And as those clouds rolled in, we did have a little bit of a sprinkling in certain parts of the city, just a trace of precipitation. Our sun will set at 6:23 and will rise at 7:04. After being spoiled most of the week with Indian summer warmth, we are going to be plunging into much colder air. We will have about mid-30s for our low by tomorrow morning. But don't despair. It does not look as if winter's here quite yet, because as we take a look at our extended trend outlook from October 15th through the 19th, it shows most of the eastern half of the nation with above to much above normal temperatures, and that's going to include Illinois and Wisconsin. As you move out to the western part of the country, however, it's going to be very chilly up in the Pacific Northwest. They're expecting much below, and much of the western part of the country is expecting below normal temperatures. In weather folklore, there's an old American Indian saying that says, when the sky goes to bed with a fever at night, you will be crying, or it will be crying by morning. What they often talk about is that late at night, in the hours right before midnight, when the temperature steadily increases instead of decreases and the humidity increases, it is often from a southeasterly wind flow ahead of a low pressure system, and we often do have a storm brewing, and rain is there, or the crying, by morning time. On our temperature map, we do see readings in the 70s ahead of this cold front, 60s behind it, and 40s further north. It is going to be cooling off sharply now. The cold front has moved to the south of us. We do have another cold front moving in behind that one, and then a little bit of high pressure. So by Sunday, we should start to gradually clear up a little bit. Troy Bankert says Pecatonicas at 68 this afternoon. Norm Roth down at NIU reports a matching 68 degrees. For tonight, we are looking for partly cloudy, quite windy and cold, 35 degrees. For Saturday, another very windy day, a slight chance of showers with all those clouds, a high of only 53, a low of 33. Sunday, partly cloudy but cool, 53 degrees. Our winds really kicking up there, primarily from the northwest, 20 to 30 miles an hour.
Kind of a chilly weekend.
Yes, it will.
All right. Thank you, Sue. One of America's leading theater organists will be in town this weekend. Organist Rex Corey will play a pop concert at the Coronado Theater on Sunday afternoon. Corey has spent the better part of his life as an organist, arranger, composer, and conductor for the radio and television networks in Hollywood. Now semi-retired, he makes about 25 appearances a year. And in all those concerts, Corey says that he tries to play a little bit of everything for everybody.
My part of the show will be a very much diversified pop show. I sort of avoid the use of the word concert because it's more of a fun thing. It's a fun show. I'll leave it with you that way. I think it's one that I highly recommend. I think folks will enjoy it.
Sunday's show is set for 2:30. TV 23's Sue Morose will MC the variety show, which is sponsored by the Land of Lincoln American Theater Organ Society. It's the Phillies and Astros showdown in the Dome, and the Yankees head home down by 2 games. Steve Sizer is next with sports.